Right. So we're just going to use our hands and our bodies. And that's what I think is really beautiful about acupressure is that we don't really need much. So it's really cool when we can use balls and blocks and all these props. But I love to think about times when we really just have our own bodies and our breath and our concentration. Even if you couldn't take these points with your hands, like your hands are sore, you could just concentrate on them with your minds. So we're going to start with 3 points in the wrist. And these points are as a group called the Buddha's Triangle. So we're going to start with a point that's below the pinky finger, so the little finger in the transverse wrist crease. So if you just find the wrist crease on the inside of the arm, on the inside of the forearm below the pinky finger, you can start by pressing here. And feel free to kind of massage around a little bit in these points or just kind of hold. Don't be searching for too much. You might not feel too much. You can just kind of concentrate on whatever you do feel and concentrate on bringing your breath into this area, bring the concentration into this area. So we're starting with this point, heart 7, Shen Men, to really connect into the heart. So in Chinese medicine, the Shen can be all 5 of the spirits that we all have, or it can be the spirit of the heart. So just starting to settle into your heart, settle into your spirit, settle into your breath. And this point can be really good for heartbreak, isolation, insomnia. A lot of these points are really good for sleep in the wrists. So if you have insomnia, focusing in the wrists is really good. So let's do the other side when you're ready. So below the pinky finger in the wrist crease, kind of massaging around a bit and trying to find a little hole that you just kind of fall into, pressing there. You can relax the arm or maybe bring it across over your chest, just connecting into the heart a little more. And all these points are going to be really good for the mind. So this point's really good for anxiety, for calming the mind, calming the spirit. And even kind of bringing a brightness back to the spirit if it feels dull, letting the light in. So taking a couple more breaths here. And then we're going to move to the other side. So going back to the other hand, and we're going to do lung 9 now. So this point is just in line with that point in the wrist crease, but below the thumb. So on the other side of the wrist, kind of where you'll feel the radial pulse. So if you feel the pulse, you can just press a little bit outside of that and just settle in. This point is lung 9. It's called Supreme Abyss. And when we think about the lung meridian, we can think about the emotion of sadness. So kind of processing sadness, letting sadness pass, or just observing it. No need to change it, but just letting it pass, not holding on to it. And this builds the energy of the lung and the lung meridian. So maybe thinking about your breath a little bit more. Nice. And let's go to the other side. So finding the other wrist. And again, just in line with that point we did before, heart 7. But this time we're on the thumb side of the wrist, on the inside of the forearm. Really pressing here. And I love a lot of these points because I could be talking to you, you don't even know I'm doing this point. So a lot of these points are really accessible. You can do them while you're talking, while you're teaching, while you're working, and just really settle into them. They're a great tool to put in the toolbox. And this point also is really good for fatigue. So if you're feeling tired right now, kind of thinking of building your energy a little bit, but in a very balancing way. So now we're going to switch arms again. So the third point in the Buddha's triangle, and this point is pericardium 6. So if you find that wrist crease again, this time you're going to come too soon, or 2 inches, so 3 fingers towards your heart from the wrist crease. So if you find the wrist crease and then bring your hands to the wrist crease, you're going to press about 3 fingers or 2 inches towards your elbow. And feel free if you have any questions at any time about the points to raise your hand or anything. So this point is pericardium 6, inner pass. And when we think about the pericardium meridian, we think about this organ that holds and protects the heart. But it also entertains it with love and joy and connection. So this inner pass, this inner gate, thinking about what you let into the heart. So the pericardium will protect it from external pathogens, but think about what emotions you might be repeating to yourself or thoughts you might be repeating to yourself. Can you shift those to something more loving, more sincere, more in line with the heart to better serve the heart? And this point's also really good for nausea and anxiety, kind of connecting into the solar plexus. So let's do the other side. So again, you'll use 3 fingers or find 2 inches above the wrist crease. And just pressing in. When we do these points, we want to press into them slowly and come out of them slowly. And you kind of want to find an edge maybe where you're starting to really breathe into them. So you're feeling something, but you don't want to go too deep. Make sure you can breathe still. Maybe as you press here, you repeat to yourself this mantra. I heal my heart, and my heart heals me. And now let's go back to the other side. So now we're going to do outer pass. So this point is directly in line with this same point, this pericardium 6, but it's on the other side of the forearm. So now we're on the top of the arm. So again, 3 fingers and then just press on the top and kind of sink into it. You can do it by itself or with inner pass at the same time. So you could do inner pass and outer pass, or since we already did inner pass, maybe just focus on outer pass. And this is on the triple heater meridian. So paired with the pericardium. And with this, you can kind of think about immunity and this defense energy. So this outer pass, this outer gate. So what are you sending out? What are you saying to others? How are you sharing yourself? A lot of times when we're suffering with anxiety or depression, we lean in towards isolation. We feel alone, when really we need to connect and reach out. So let's do the other side. 3 fingers above the outer wrist crease. Maybe pressing on inner pass and outer pass at the same time. And as you press here for just a moment, I want you to think about something you're really grateful for or something you love. Just one image. And feel that emotion that that creates in your body, the physical sensations. And then think about sending it out. Connecting to everybody here, everyone in the universe. Let's release this point now. So now we're going to do another grouping of points called the 4 gates. So we'll start with large intestine 4, and this is in the hand between the index finger and the thumb. So if you've ever kind of done acupressure before, you've probably learned this point for headaches. I feel like everybody learned it for headaches when they were younger. So you can kind of massage between the index finger and thumb, and maybe you go a little bit closer towards the V where those long bones meet. But just massage around because you'll probably find a little point that feels pretty tender and you can press into there. And so these grouping of these 2 points are all about movement. So the large intestine meridian connects to the nostrils, so you can think about your breath. But it also connects to the emotions of letting go. So maybe on a physical level, letting things pass. On an emotional level, what feelings might you be holding on to that you could let go of? Try to let them go here. Or maybe diagnoses, pain, injuries. Can you let them pass? Let them go. Even if it's just for a breath in your imagination. Let's do the other side. So massaging between the thumb and the index finger, where the long bones meet. You can kind of squeeze the thumb and index finger together and see where the muscle gets a little bigger. At that highest point, you'll kind of massage there. And just noticing if one side might be more tender than the other, what you feel, really just settling into it here. Thinking about your exhale. That's where a lot of letting go happens, and where things can pass. So if you've had a tendency towards depression or anxiety or struggle with mental health, just for this moment, let the mind settle, let there be movement, let things pass, just focus on the breath. And then we're going to move into the feet. So we're going to do these one at a time. So you can start with one foot, and we're going to find liver 3. So this point is between the big and second toe on the top of the foot. So maybe you just kind of bring one foot over your knee. Your knee can be bent or straight. Just be comfortable. And we do a lot of these points during the asana and in the postures. So really just kind of feeling them right now, one at a time, so you can focus on them while you're moving, because you'll have this really great awareness of where they are, how they feel. And sometimes this point in particular is just so sore. So you'll kind of know it when you find it. So keep massaging around, keep searching, because we're doing acupressure. So you want to find the points. Because I can tell you kind of where they are, but you really need to feel them for yourself. And this point is called great surge. So thinking about this smooth flow of emotions, of energy, of chi through the body. And then let's do the other side. So whichever foot you didn't do, we'll find between the big and the second toe on the top of the foot, kind of at the V where those long bones meet. Really pressing there. And so the liver meridian wraps around the sexual and reproductive organs. And so this point is really amazing for anything dealing with cycles. So daily cycles, monthly cycles, yearly lifetime cycles. It helps things move. It helps with the ups and the downs, the changes. So one more breath here, really settling into the point, bringing your awareness down into it. And then we'll go back to the other foot. And I want you to just start here by massaging the sole of your foot. So we kind of forget sometimes that we can just do a little self-massage and how beneficial that can be. And when you think about anxiety, you can kind of name it as heat getting trapped in the head or energy getting trapped in the chest. Your heart might be beating faster. You might have heat, get red in the face, and your thoughts are trapped up here. So if you think about bringing the energy down into your feet, it can be really helpful. So now that the foot's a little bit more warmed up, and I just like to show that because it kind of reminds you that you don't even need to know the points to get some benefit of just some self-massage. But we'll do kidney 1, gushing springs. So this is the point on the bottom of the sole of the foot. So it's kind of in the center underneath the big and second toe, below the big toe mound. And you can really press in here really deep. So don't be afraid to go deep into this point. And I like to just kind of use my thumb to press really deeply into it. So kidney 1, gushing springs. This point's also really healing for the hamstring. And if you think about the whole back body, and I see so many dogs and cats kind of mingling around, joining us. So when you think about them, when they get scared, they tuck their tails as kind of this sign of being scared. And we kind of do the same thing when we have anxiety or this fear, the shock. So kind of releasing the back chain and feeling safe in your body can help to move the emotion. So let's switch on over to the other side. I can totally get lost in that point. It feels so good. So starting by just massaging the foot, warming up the tissue, kind of noticing what you feel. Are there knots? Are there kind of tissuey areas? Do they feel really tight? Maybe even the temperature? Just kind of being the scientist of yourself. So exploring what you feel here. And then we'll find that kidney 1 point. So in the center of the sole of the foot, below the big and the second toe, below the big toe mound. So you'll press really deep in there. And maybe on this side, as you press here, you repeat to yourself this mantra: I am grounded. So this can be good for anxiety, bringing the energy down, but also with depression for feeling the strength from the earth, feeling supported, not feeling alone. And really connecting into this yin energy, very deep, very supportive, very nourishing. And then release. So now we're gonna find a point that's below the knee on the front of the shin. So you can kind of massage from the ankle up on the tibialis anterior. So that's on the outside, the lateral side of the shin. And then you're gonna find the kneecap, which we just looked at. So the very bottom of the kneecap, you're gonna come 3 fingers below the kneecap and press. So at the very top of the tibialis anterior, right about here, you're going to press in this point. And this point is called leg 3 miles. It's on the stomach meridian, so you can think about it tonight in practice. And this point, I like to think about it as this support to go those extra 3 miles. So if you're running a marathon, those last 3 miles might be kind of the hardest. So this point kind of helps you to push through those last 3 miles or those last 3 inches. Gives you the support and the strength for that. So let's do the other side. So about 3 fingers below the bottom of the kneecap, at the top of the tibialis anterior, below the knee. And breathe. Sometimes I think when we get in loops of anxiety and depression, we can listen too loudly to the thoughts that want to do what's not good for us. So this will kind of help you to give you the strength to continue your practice, to eat healthy, to do what's nourishing and nurturing rather than listening to the mind. So really listening to the truth in the heart. And then we'll release here. So now we're going to do gallbladder 21. So you can just reach back and start by massaging the tops of the shoulders. This just feels really good. Just kind of warming up the trapezius. And then find the very top center of that point, of that muscle, and just press straight down. So we can do one side at a time here. You can reach the arm diagonally across or straight back, whichever one works best for you. And this is a really good one to remember if you're ever feeling kind of unreasonably angry or kind of frustrated. This really helps to send that energy down. So anger and frustration are healthy emotions. They're part of the wood element, but we don't ever want to direct them at others. So letting it settle, letting it pass, just observing it. And then let's do the other side. So finding the very top of that muscle, the very top center, and then pressing straight down. So this point even helps with hypertension. So it helps to lower everything, even blood pressure. So if you're feeling that energy rising, getting trapped up here, you can press here and send the energy down. And sometimes even with depression, we don't notice that our energy's trapped up here. Even if you're feeling very down, it might just not be moving. And then release. So now we're going to do a collection of points called the Window of Heaven points. And these are right on the neck. So if you find the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid, this kind of big chunky muscle in the neck, you can kind of lean towards this side to make it looser. So I'm doing the right side, so I'm kind of leaning towards the right. And then I'm just gonna massage that muscle. So just warming it up. This might be pretty tender if you've never done it before. Just kind of see what you feel. Listen to your body. So you don't want to ever press too hard in here. And then find the very center where the voice box or the Adam's apple is. And you're going to just squeeze this muscle right there and hold. Pretty much we all have little trigger points here. So just holding, breathing, and thinking of connecting to the sky, connecting to heaven, letting light in, clearing any dust, and really connecting to your purpose. That's what these points do. They connect you to your purpose. And when you're connected into your purpose, to your heart, you're right on the path and you can follow your truth. So let's do the other side, gently releasing and kind of lean towards that side. So now I'm on the left. And just warming it up at first. Seeing what you feel in here. Is it pretty tight or tender? Is it just me? And then finding the center. So right outside the voice box or the Adam's apple. And then you can really squeeze there and hold. And breathe. So right here we have a stomach point, a large intestine point, and a small intestine point. So also thinking about digestion, letting these things pass. And connecting the head and the heart. So with anything dealing with mental health, we really want to get out of the thinking mind, the intellect, and into our feelings, into our heart. And yoga teaches us to just observe. So just watching these emotions and these changes. And then we'll release. We just have a couple more. We'll finish up in a couple minutes. So we're going to find governing vessel 20. And this is the point on the top of your head. So you might kind of feel it when you're doing a headstand. So if you bring your hands to the very tops of your ears, and then see where your middle fingers meet on the crown of your head and just kind of press in. This point is called the 100 meetings, and it's said to heal 100 ailments. So thinking about it, healing the mind, maybe even calming the mind. This raises energy, so it'll get you ready for your next practice. but in a very calming and balanced way. And then we're going to do kidney 27. And this point is at the very top of the sternum on the inside of the collarbone. So just below the collarbones, below this sternal notch, you're just going to press right here towards the center. This is the last point on the kidney meridian. It's called the Shu Mansion. It's a very spiritual point, and it's really good for anxiety. And I feel like it's really easy to take, so I really love this point. So thinking about calming the spirit and restoring yourself, finding this balance, any exhaustion, leaving the body. And then we'll find CV17. You've probably done this before. So about 3/4 of the way down. So if you find the very top of the sternum and then trace down, just until you kind of find a point that feels different from the rest. Pressing here, connecting back to the pericardium, thinking about that gate that surrounds the heart and going in. Witnessing the mind, witnessing the thoughts, witnessing sensations. Taking a couple more breaths here. You can keep using your hand or maybe bring your palms together in front of here and use your thumb knuckles to kind of press in. May all beings everywhere receive these benefits of our practice through us, through our bodies and through our minds. Om.